Hi, I'm Brian at Reload, Orange County Reloading Supply. Case trimming. What happens when you fire a casing inside of a chamber, it puffs up to the dimensions of that chamber. And particularly on like a bottleneck case, when you go to size it, you're bumping the shoulder back, that makes the neck longer. And what happens is you get to the point where you're going to have to cut that casing back to factory spec, or SAMI spec as it were. In general, you will find when you look in your reloading manual, the very first page in the section for the caliber you want to load is going to have dimensional information on the casing. So you get to the point where it's stretched and you got to cut it back. Almost always you're going to find it's 10 thousandths shorter than the original manufactured length. Some manuals might have it at 5 thousandths shorter. Sometimes when you get the type of system that's got like a little gauge where you put a cutter on the end and you cut it, it'll cut it about 5 thousandths shorter than the original manufactured length. But chambers in guns will vary a little bit, so how much they can stretch and you can get away with it before you have to trim them back will vary a little bit. In general, I've just gotten into the habit of using the 10 thousandths. When they're 10 thousandths longer than the original manufactured length, I cut them 10 thousandths shorter. So I'm cutting 20 thousandths off of them, in general. Now you have manual and you have electric type trimmers. And which one you choose, it's going to kind of depend upon the volume that you're doing, the precision that you're looking for, that type of thing. And of course they cover every single price point that you can imagine. But in general, just to give you the idea, and again, there's lots of trimmers out there and I'm not trying to push any particular brand, it's just to give you a basic idea of what's available out there. Lyman, for example, has one that's got a universal shell holder that you have two spring-loaded jaws, and regardless of what the caliber happens to be, you push it in between the spring-loaded jaws. There's a pilot in this end. Push it up against the pilot. You cam it over, and it's retained, and you can trim it. How much length is determined. You've got these two nuts here at the end. Now you can undo those set screws, and then you've got indexing marks, so the more you unscrew it, the more space you've got, and it'll go that much further forward. If you want, you can cheat. I've used this many times simply because I'm generally going to be cutting around 20 thousandths off, and that's just about the thickness of a business card. So I stick a business card in between, push the cutter up against the case mouth, set my set screws, pull it out. Now it's going to go 20 thousandths further forward. So it's just faster to set it up. So that's the Lyman manual one. Now you can get it with a power adapter where you just simply take out this cutting rod and you insert one that's got a chuck on the end that you can attach to a drill motor of some sort, and now you've got an electric trimmer. Then you have this style that you can, with just the head itself, put in your own cordless drill, or if you got a press or whatever it happens to be. Black Widow Shooter Supply, Act Tactical, Act Coleman, the Trimit system, as it were. And there's a number of different versions of this one out there. These guys also make a motor, so if you don't happen to have a cordless drill or whatever to chuck it up into, you can get theirs, and it's a rechargeable. But the way that works, it uses a little collet system. So you get whatever size collet for the caliber that you're going to trim up, like 223, 308 for example, and it just fits right into the front of the trimmer there, and then you put your casing in, zzz, done, zzz, done. It's a fairly snug fit. You want to size your casings first. So you may have to put a tiny bit of lube around the shoulder area so it doesn't grab it and spin it out of your hands. But it's an excellent system. And what we're looking for is we want our casings to be within 3 thousandths of each other when we trim these. There is going to be flex in every system that you use for trimming casings. So if you push harder, you're going to take up a lot of the flex in that system and you're going to cut more off of that casing. If you push lightly, it's going to take less off. So you have control over how much is being taken off by how much force you apply to the casing as it's being trimmed, or to the shaft of the rod where you're pushing against the case mouth as it cuts. Dillon has an outstanding system. So if you got a 550 or a 650 or what have you, they're going to use a die for every caliber that you're going to do. So if you have a 650 and you got a case feeder, you can set up a head with the trimmer and you put the die for whatever size casing you're going to do, so it's going to size and cut at the same time. And that one's real nice because you can just throw all your brass in the hopper and just start pulling the handle, and you're going to crank it out real quick that way. So for volume, electric is definitely the way to go. And you can get real good precision with it. But let's say, for example, you're doing small quantity of, I don't know, you're shooting 6.5 Creed and you're doing 1,000-yard work with it, and you're not worried about getting a lot of casings done in a very short period of time. What you want to do is you want the precision. Now, Redding has got a couple of different trimmers that they use that are real high quality. They're a cast part, they're powder coated, and they've got, again, a universal collet system to retain the casing, and it works very well. And they've got two versions of it. One of them, this one, which has the micrometer adjuster on it, and it will allow you a little better precision as well. But again, keep in mind, if you press hard versus pressing lightly, it is going to vary. Frankfurt Arsenal's got an electric. It's a pretty small unit, and again, it's going to work great for bottleneck casings. It works on the collet where you're stopping on the shoulder. It's forward movement, and then you can deburr with the little deburring tools that are in the same unit above it. And also you can clean up the primer pocket as well on that one. Lee's got systems that they're using dies with. Their trimmer, where you can drop this into a die and you simply spin it. You can chuck this up again into a drill motor and you can move a lot faster. How much it's cutting off is adjusted by the little collet here at the top, where every time you turn it, it's going to turn down to cut more off. There's handheld units, there's others by Lyman, and a whole slew of different companies out there that produce very good trimming units. And which one is going to be appropriate for you? You just want to think about the volume that you're doing, the precision that you're looking for. Generally, you want your casings, well, preferably all the exact same length, but at a minimum, you're looking for within 3/1000ths of each other. Happy reloading.